Yeah. So really, there's a lot that goes on when it comes to not having heart attack, strokes, and dementia. And whoever you are, for the 14 people worldwide who are live right now and listening to this, or whoever, I know that you and I both don't want to have heart attack, strokes, and dementia. So how can we simplify these things? And so what I say is, if you are that person who wants to optimize the years that you have been given, I want you to have a great home security system, and I want you to live in a safe lipid neighborhood. Your home security system has 4 basic pillars: normal blood sugar, normal blood pressure, keep inflammation low, and don't smoke or do drugs, because those are bad. But then your lipid neighborhood, that's your cholesterol panel, because every ApoB containing particle, the vast majority of those being LDL particles, are potentially criminals that can infiltrate your arterial abode. And then the LP(a) particles, those are potentially the felons, because per particle, if you picked the wrong parents with that genetic lipoprotein, those are about 6.5 times as likely to cause mischief in your arterial wall if they get in there than your run-of-the-mill LDL particle. And so back to our home security system. No matter what, across your lifespan, nobody's New Year's resolution is to be more insulin resistant. Nope, that's an axiom. Nobody ever says, boy, I wish my blood pressure was more out of control. Also, no, life is not better systemically inflamed versus non-inflamed, and then drugs are still bad despite what the kids are doing these days. And so those are your axioms. No matter what, you can take those things to the bank, and there are very few things in biology that are binary. We want them to be good or bad, but rarely is that the case. Most of the time, it depends. However, those 4 pillars of the home security system, you can be pretty confident that you want those in working order, no matter what your lipid neighborhood looks like. But let's look at your lipid neighborhood. We don't want to ignore that either, because every one of these particles, these LDL particles, these ApoB containing particles, is potentially a criminal. Not necessarily a criminal, but potentially. Okay, well, what kind of neighborhood are you living in? And so on paper, it can look like you're living in a rough inner city neighborhood, but people don't live on paper, do they? And so do we have better ways that can inform our decision-making process about potentially moving to a safer lipid neighborhood? We do. And so one of my catchphrases, because I have lots of catchphrases, is got plaque, get a CAC. What's a CAC? Coronary artery calcium score. I call it the colonoscopy of the heart without the nasty pregame show. Because you lay down, now low-dose CT scan shows if you have calcified plaque in your coronary arteries, which means there's been a break-in. And that's a late finding in the atherosclerotic disease process. And so if you've been broken into, well, do you want to keep living in the same rough lipid neighborhood that got you broken into? Or do you want to maybe consider moving to a nice, safe, gated community with fewer lipid criminals? That seems reasonable, right? And so that's just the kind of the basic framework for the home security system and the lipid neighborhood. And then all throughout the book, I elaborate on the individual pillars of the home security system, and then all of the things that go into making your lipid neighborhood a nice place where we can live happily ever after.
Wow, thank you so much.